right, it's Ron Goodall from FightHype.com. I'm here with father and son Bernard Hackett and Mayweather's protege, I would say, up and coming Jalil Hackett, 17 years old now. How's everything going with you guys?
It's been good, man. Everything's going good. Everything's starting to look like it's getting better as far as like the world. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's been going good.
Of course, I know the coronavirus and COVID has kind of paused scenarios and situations. Have you guys been able to like train and work good and everything like that over time?
Yes, when the corona first started, I was doing a lot of working out from home, and slowly but surely started to go out every once in a while for sparring. But for the most part, most of my training has been getting done at home.
Now, of course, throughout this whole entire transition, a lot of fight fans have been peeping you, and they're hearing really great things from your amateur backgrounds, and hearing that you're going to turn professional in the upcoming years or pretty soon. I'm not sure. Has anything been updated recently on what's going on?
Yes, I always talk heavily with Leonard Ellerby, and he was saying, we're not going to rush you because, when we actually do show you off to the world as one of our fighters, when you do, put pen on paper, we wanted to be big, we wanted to be nice, and we want people to know that, like, you're our guy. So they were telling me, like, if they said if I was, like, in a rush to fight, they can put me on a card somewhere, anywhere, if I wanted to. But they said, if you're willing to wait, we have fight dates opening up for January and February where I would potentially have a chance to fight on TV.
Now, because you're in the transition of going from amateur to professional, what do you guys do, or to maintain, I guess your boxing, training? Because obviously, if you're not in amateurs right now, you're not competing, and especially now there's no amateurs. And if you're not yet the professional, do you just consistently train? Do you spar? How does that stage work for you guys?
I've been working with a lot of professional fighters. Working with pros will help you adapt to the pro speed of the game as far as like the different ways that pros fight because amateur boxing and professional boxing are two completely different sports. And sparring with the professional fighters has really helped me develop over time. Like the past, all of 2019 and all of 2020 was spent preparing to be a professional, and taking that time has really helped me graduate into a completely different fighter. If you look at Jalil Hackett from 2018 and Jalil Hackett now, those are two completely different guys. And yeah, it's the time away from amateur boxing, and actually the corona was actually a blessing in disguise because I had even more opportunities to work with these pros as far as sparring, as far as being around them, taking like little things that they do, those guys teaching me. So yeah, the corona kind of stopped stuff, but it didn't slow me down.
Now, I've seen you fight in the amateurs, and you have like a, it's not a brawling style. It's a very aggressive, come forward, slick style. You like to fight, it seems like. You don't like to, or at least the amateur fights I've seen. It seems like you like to get in there and add some pressure. Is that one of your styles when you want to bring in the professionals, or is that something we just have to find out?
Yes, because I know me and a lot of other fighters and the amateurs and the pros, they know if you speak on Jalil Hackett, that guy, they're gonna say that guy's in shape. He's in shape. He's in very great shape, and they know that I'm going to come forward. If I'm in shape, I'm going to show you I'm in shape. And if I know and I feel that I'm in more shape than you, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to pressure you, get you tired, and then I'll be able to land those harder shots and finish fights.
Now, with your sparring, which I think is really interesting, and some of the fight fans who don't know who you are beforehand, I've first time I've ever seen you was in person was in Baltimore, and it was at the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, and Adrian Broner came up to you and he gave you a lot of props in front of the cameras and the media and things like that. And I was talking to some people and I found out that you were also sparring Tank Davis, who recently just fought and had a great performance against Leo Santa Cruz. And I'm not sure if you were, I think you might have been 16 at that time, or maybe even 15.
No, I was 16. I was 16.
16?
Yes, sir.
So as a 16-year-old, you're sparring a guy like Gervonta Tank Davis, which I've heard, I've had people, in the camp, they don't last in there with Tank. And you at 16 is constantly being asked to come out, work with Gervonta. Gervonta speaks highly of you, everyone in the camp. Overall, like, that is a huge testament on who you are now to be able to spar with a guy with Gervonta at that age. What's it like to spar with someone like that and at those times? Did you learn a lot? And how do you stay, I guess, composed when you fight or spar with a Tank Davis?
I learned a lot in the camps that I've been in with Tank. Not only from Tank, but from Coach Calvin as well. Because I get in there, of course I'm getting in there, I'm working, I'm helping him get ready for his fight, but I'm also learning. Like, yeah, it was great learning experiences in there, where even if like I'm on the bag, he'll critique some things that I do in the bag, and it turned me into a better fighter overall. So yeah, that time I spent in camp with him was good, and I feel like the keeping my composure while we're sparring. Me personally, I never go in there like all hype and nervous because it's sparring. You know, you get dropped in sparring, it's sparring. Get back up, keep working. You get cut. I've got cut in camp with Tank. It's oh well, keep working. So yeah, it never really gets to me.
Would you consider in the boxing community like Tank and Calvin, like they're like family, you know, when you
Yeah,
guys got to work with each other?
yes, I would.
Um, of course, I have to ask you because the fight just happened. Tremendous knockout over a four-division world champion, Leo Santa Cruz. What was your reaction in that whole entire fight?
Everybody was all oohing and ahhing about the fact that Leo was putting a lot of pressure on him as far as the punch count. And I was just saying, like, it only takes one. You know, a guy like Tank who fights 130, he has punch power like a middleweight. It only takes one shot. If a guy is hitting you with the punching ability of a middleweight and you only weigh 130, 140 pounds, it's going to do damage. And as you've seen, that uppercut in the sixth round did a lot of damage.
And you have a pretty good, well, I can't say pretty good. You have a great boxing IQ, especially being able to spar with guys like that. Do you consider Tank Davis, I guess, the best fighter at 130/135? If you size him up with the Teofimo Lopez and the Haney's and stuff, from what you saw and got the opportunity to work with?
Based on not only his last fight, but let's just base it on like let's compare resumes. If we compare resumes, he's the best fighter at 130 and 135 because his past couple of fights, you got a guy like a veteran like Gamboa. People say, oh, he beat up a old Gamboa, a bum. At the end of the day, Gamboa is a vet. Gamboa, at one point in time, he was on the pound for pound list, and he went in there and he beat him. And then you got another guy like Leo Santa Cruz, who was the best at one time. He was the best at the smaller weights. Then he started to move up like 126, and he came up to 130 to fight Tank. So that's another guy that we also consider a great fighter and was on his way to the pound for pound list. And some people maybe had him in their pound for pound top 10, and he went in there and beat that guy as well. People always say, or some people are saying, I had Tank down on the cards. You can have him down. It could have been the 12th round. He could have been down 11 rounds to 0. If he knocks him out in the 12th round, he won the fight at the end of the day. So, yeah, he's a great fighter. So you have to put him at the top of the line when it comes to 130 and 135.
What's really interesting, your dad sent me a picture of you. It seems like you're with all these guys, with Teofimo Lopez as kids, and you guys.
Yeah, he had showed me the picture a couple of days ago. It was actually a while ago, almost 10 years ago, at the title tournament, the Paul Murphy tournament in what's that, Atlanta, Georgia, or Caseta? Yeah, the tournament that they have down there around the summertime every year. Yeah, it shows like, some most of these faces that you will see in the pros, and the faces that are in the pros now, those are guys that you've been around all your life. Like people say the transition from the amateurs to the pros is a big step up, which it is. You take your headgear off, the gloves get smaller, but those guys that you were fighting in the amateurs are going to be the same guys that you're going to fight in the pros. So yeah, it's a step up, but at the same time, it's just same old thing.
And so I'm assuming you already got your eyes on a couple people that you might be bumping heads with in a couple years. They're gonna be super million pay-per-view buy kind of fights, right?
Yeah, honestly, when people bring up like future names that I would potentially see myself in the ring with, a lot of the names that come to my head are like guys I fought in the amateurs, and other than that, is more so I get a couple fights under my belt as a pro. It's all about who has the belts in my weight class, either my weight class, the weight class under me, or the weight class above. And yeah, it's about the belts. A lot of these fighters nowadays, I feel like they're chasing the Floyd Mayweather type of career. If the Hall of Fame was based on being undefeated, we'd only have two fighters in the Hall of Fame. It would be Floyd Mayweather and what's the other guy? He's an older fighter.
Well, Andre or you said
Oh
older?
yeah, Andre,
Berto. I
Andre,
mean, not Andre Berto.
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward
It would be Floyd Mayweather, Andre
and a few
Ward,
others.
and Rocky Marciano. Those are the only three fighters that are Hall of Fame worthy that are in the Hall of Fame. Well, Floyd's in the Hall of Fame. Rocky Marciano, yeah, he will be, and Andre Ward will be in the Hall of Fame. If the Hall of Fame was based on that, we'd only have three Hall of Fame boxers. So you got guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler. We consider those people great fighters, but none of them had undefeated records. They had losses. So yeah, if you come into this sport trying to be the best, you got to be willing to lose. I'm not saying just go out there and lose, but you got to be willing to lose. That's what makes you great.
No, I just have to ask because you said Mayweather's name, and Mayweather's been synonymous to pay-per-views, boxing at the highest level for the last couple years. What was that relationship when you first met Mayweather? I know I've seen you guys in Atlanta. That was the first time I've seen you guys together on stage, and there was like Holyfield and Paul Williams, and I've seen you with Sam Watson. Like, what overall kind of conversations do you have with like a guy like Floyd Mayweather, and what type of advice has he given you? Have you guys got to talk a lot over time, or here and there, or?
That's the conversations are always just slight conversations like he's a good kid, stuff like that. But most of my conversations as far as that group of people comes from Leonard Ellaby, and it's always just checking up, making sure I'm cool and stuff like that.
Now, seeing the fact that you sparred with Tank, I recently saw, I think a couple weeks ago after I saw you guys catch up at a fight in Philly, you and Deron Ennis. You got to spar with Deron Ennis over in Philly before he had his fight on Showtime. Is that
Uh,
true?
yes, I did. We got to spar. We sparred one weekend. We only did a few rounds, and then the next weekend I got 10 rounds and he got 12. But I think we did five together, 4 or 5. Yeah, and that was a great learning experience getting in the ring with a guy like Boots, who in my opinion will soon to be one of the top guys at the weight within the next year. So yeah, that was a great learning experience.
And just right now, weight wise, you would compete at what, 140, or is that the weight class you would be at?
I'll be for my debut. I'll be competing at 147.
Okay.
But if the opportunity were to present itself for like a belt at 140, I would definitely go down.
So you're pretty, a good size, then to be obviously to spar with a guy like Deron Ennis, who's a pretty big welterweight as well.
Most of the guys that actually fight our weight, you see those guys are about 5'7", 5'8". With a guy like Boots, who's I think if I'm not mistaken, he's 5'10" or 5'11".
Pretty tall.
And me, I'm 5'10" and a half. We're some of the taller people at the weight.
So I would say I guess throughout this transition going to professionals and what it's like, we might be looking early maybe next year to see the emerging of Jalil Hackett on our TV screens.
Yes.
Would you say that you would be fighting, I guess, more than, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times? Do they plan to keep you busy within January? Is that the plan?
After the debut, honestly, our whole mindset was, you get these fights, you fight, you win, you're not hurt, you're not cut, get back in the ring as soon as possible. We're not talking about me as a world champion. This is early in my career. These guys I'm fighting aren't world beaters. So it's you get in there, you get your win, and it's on to the next as soon as possible. Yeah, try and build that record. If everything goes correctly or everything goes great, by the end of 2021, I see myself having about 10 fights.
And I guess, not setting, I guess, an expectation for the fans, because, fights, you don't always want to aim for the knockouts, or you don't want to aim for, you just want to go in there and do your thing. But after your first professional fight, how would you want fans to view you as, walking away? Do you want them to be like, wow, this kid is so smart and intelligent, or whoa, yeah, it's punching power, or he doesn't play around, he gets you out of there, or he's stylish? Like, what type of, I guess, impression would you want to leave after that first professional fight, if you could have it your way?
I want them to know Jalil Hackett as like the complete package. I want them to say, man, he does it all. And a guy who does it all, you always want to see him fight again. And when the fans want to see you fight again, that makes the promoter fight you more. You fight more, then that brings in money, and money brings happiness. And I'll, at one point, one thing will lead to another, and I'll be in a situation like a Teofimo or Lomachenko getting a title chance early in my career.
Okay, okay. And seeing the fact that you mentioned names like Rocky Marciano and Andre Wars and Sugar Ray Leonard's, and does your dad make you watch older fights when he was younger? Do you watch some of the black and whites or the color, 80s Renaissance kind of fights, to kind of
Um,
learn?
yes, I'm not gonna say I like it's a wide variety of them, but it's most of the fights I watch as far as like those older fights are like just me being a student of the game because guys like Marvin Hagler, stuff like that, I watch some of their wins and some of their losses because you can always learn from any fight.
Would there be, I guess, a certain fighter that you at that time watching that stuff, like, what, I could see myself maybe facing him if I was in that era? Is there one that stood out that if you had the opportunity to face?
A guy that I would have loved to face, let's say I was up at that weight, was actually be Marvin Hagler because it's like
Hmm.
this is a guy he's coming forward. He's trying to break your will, and I'm known for going forward and breaking people's will. So it'll be a test of wills. Who wants it more? Who's gonna go and get it? And me personally, I feel like that would be a good test of my ability.
A lot of people then didn't want to face Marvin Hagler. So the fact hearing you saying, what, if I had the opportunity to face someone, Marvin Hagler would be that guy. That's a big, big, you know, uh, a testament to who you are as a boxer to want to face someone like Marvin Hagler, after watching what he did to fighters back then. So it's really impressive. Now, of course, before we wrap this up, I always want to give the floor to you for anything that you want to tell the fans, or anything that's happening in your life and social media, where we can follow you if we want more information.
You can nothing much really. You can just follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jalil_Hackett. And you can follow me on Facebook at Jalil Major Hackett. And yeah, and to all the fans that have been asking about like the merch as far as like the major merch, it'll be here sooner than later. Corona kind of slowed everything up as far as like the production of items. So yeah, man, and y'all have fights. Y'all have fights coming from me in 2021. I'm sorry for making y'all wait, but y'all have fights coming from me.
All right.
Um, yeah, man, you don't have nothing to say. All right.
Oh, go ahead. I know I was gonna switch to your
I
I
had
was
to
gonna
ask
switch
you.
to your dad and also give him a floor. But what were we gonna say?
Y'all was asking me if I had anything to say, and all my young fans and my older fans too. Y'all play games or anything? Because if I'm not in the gym, I'm playing the game. Y'all play games, do any of that? Just hit my DM, man. I'm more than open to playing with everybody.
What games do you play though? Just so that they.
I'm real versatile as far as my games. I play, first person shooters like Call of Duty, stuff like that. And also I play a lot of 2K. And I play
Mm.
Madden here and there, but yeah. I don't want none of my fans to expose me on Madden. I ain't really that good.
That's good. That's good to keep that competitive spirit, you know. No fighting games, man. No Mortal Kombat or Tekken. You know, as a fighter, you wanna break from the
Mortal
fighting.
Kombat, I used to play it a lot, but when time goes on and you don't play a game for a while and you try and jump back into it and you're not good, me, I'm more of a competitive person and I want to win. So I'm gonna play stuff that I know I'm gonna win. And yeah, so like
So
even going back to the older days, back when they used to make fight night, I played, but it was like, man, I'd rather get in the ring with you for real because I know I have a better chance in real life than in fight night because I was not good at fight night.
that's perfect. That's fair enough. I don't blame you, man. You're a real boxer. You know, you don't have to play the
Yeah,
games.
you're not going to play on the game.
Well, awesome. Definitely appreciate it, and then we'll be excited, looking forward to you in the near future.
Okay, thank you.